Hello everyone and welcome to Literary Loitering, the Geek Show's dedicated art and books podcast. I'm Andrew, and as per usual, I'm joined by the usual rabble of reprobates. We've got a Sarah.
Hello.
We've got a Graham.
Hello.
And we've got a Rob.
Hello.
And that was in no way based on the position you sat at the table. I don't know why I chose that specific configuration.
It's nice that we have the opportunity of being able to ignore where we're sat now, though, isn't it?
That is true, yeah. It's much nicer now that we're doing this in person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is Sarah. I'm diagonally opposite Andrew.
And I, meanwhile, am diagonally opposite Rob. So I hope that's painted a lovely picture in your mind, listeners.
Diagonals are good.
Anywho, while we're intellectual,
Yes.
book-related podcast.
Well, to add on to the intellectual discussion, I was going to say we are sat in an X. And of course, X is going to give it to you. It be in the news.
Yes. Well, we cover a lot of political stories on this podcast, so I think it was inevitable that there would be a bit of payback, that people from the world of politics would muscle in on our turf. And I am shocked and appalled to say that Ed Miliband is launching a books podcast.
Our old arch nemesis strikes again.
Yes.
Doesn't he already have a podcast?
He does. He does it with the radio host Jeff Lloyd. It's called Reasons to be Cheerful.
That's it.
Yes.
See, I quite
listened to a
like
few
his
episodes.
podcast.
Yeah,
I
it's
do.
nice.
I'll be honest.
It's optimistic.
Yeah, and I think after he got out of politics and started finding his own feet with what he actually wanted to do, I think he's turned into quite the personality.
It's interesting how far, like, he diverges from the political machine, and how far I guess he would have to cramp down his ideas, in just to follow suit from kind of what went before.
Yeah.
Yeah, despite describing him seconds ago as our arch nemesis, I don't mind Ed Miliband. I feel like he's a guy who should not have gone into politics.
Yeah. I remember when he turned up on, I think it was the New Year's edition of The Last Leg.
Oh, right.
On the back of wearing a leather jacket on the back of a motorbike.
Yes.
Excellent.
And he just threw everyone off their game. Like, this is like cool, Miliband. What's going on? And your brother's supposed to be the cool one. When did you become the cool one?
Well, we've said all this nice stuff, but he is our nemesis and we're going to have to destroy him before he comes out with the Cheerful Book Club, exploring the biggest new non-fiction books with guests including Michael Lewis and Ian McEwan. And there's no way we can match up to that, is there?
We don't know. We maybe haven't tried hard enough.
Maybe.
I'm
But
going to
I,
write
for
a letter
one-
to Mr. McEwan now.
I, for one, am not going to find out. I pointedly refuse to put any effort into this show. I'm going to sleep right now. Good night.
Dear Mr. McEwan, please come on our podcast. Lots of love from Sarah. Brackets age, mind your own damn business. Close brackets.
Can we, edit a bit into one of the old podcasts where we pretend we liked his last novel, thereby giving us a competitive advantage by being the only people who thought it was good? No, I don't.
I mean, I liked Atonement when I read it.
I mean, I liked him back in the day, but the day was a while ago.
Yeah, when was the day?
The
Hang
day.
on. How long have I been asleep?
What day is this?
What day are we talking about? This is Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I quite liked it.
Yeah.
And then I maybe read the book.
I can never remember the word atonement. I always go for allotment, which is not the same at all.
Well, it was filmed like in Redco, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
My allotment could be accurate.
Probably in there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, that's our niche. What if we get Ian McEwan on the show and just interview him about gardening tips?
What if we get Ian McEwan on the show and read out all of the wrong types of all the wrong titles of his novels until he goes mad?
I can just do that spontaneously given my memory anyway.
Excellent.
That climate change one you wrote, why did you call it Solero? Is it about lollies? No, I think we need to destroy Miliband, and the only way to do that is to give him a bacon sandwich when there's a photographer around.
Apparently that can lead to the end of somebody's career.
It was a happier time in British politics, wasn't it? Except it wasn't. It was also...
No. See, there's only one politician who was bulletproof against that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eric Pickles. Him with the bacon sandwich was just normal.
It's just normal.
He just inhales it, doesn't he?
Exactly. I saw a photo of him eating a bacon sandwich and nobody commented. Not one comment on it. When every other politician is going, oh, he's eating bacon. And Eric Pickles is just going, nom, 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 nom,
I mean,
nom, nom.
I feel like it was more the way Ed Miliband ate the bacon sandwich.
Yeah, I don't think people were specifically anti-bacon. I mean,
Yeah,
I understand
true.
some major world religions are, but I don't think that was the focus of the controversy.
I mean, the thing is, even with the way he was eating the bacon sandwich, I still don't think it was as bad as some other politicians secretly eat their bacon sandwich, with the
Like off a stripper.
Yeah,
I was about to say, it's all well and good as sitting here talking about Ed Miliband eating sandwiches weird. No one's seen me eat food for very good reasons.
I mean, it was a PR mistake, but it wasn't as bad as, murdering 120,000 disabled people through targeted benefit sanctions.
Yeah, there's that.
Oh, cutting.
Buzzing!
Also, I do know how to stop Miliband completely, right? Just film him running. Oh, take a photo of him running.
That's it. I bet he has a really goofy run.
Have you not seen that picture of him jogging?
No?
Oh God! They did like the when he became leader of the Labour Party, they did a picture of Barack Obama running next to a picture of Ed Miliband running, and Barack Obama is like cool, like
Oh, he just is.
just cool as you like, long like Mac Daddy, completely. And then they had a picture of Ed Miliband in a t-shirt and shorts going.
Somebody going, run, fat boy, run!
You can't see this magnificent pantomime Rob is doing for us, but best tune. It's somewhere...
It's like comic book guy, like running in
Yeah.
slow motion in Off the Simpsons.
Somewhere between comic book guy and the old Mr. Soft Mince ad, I think is what we're getting.
I remember that, Mr. Soft.
And that's why we're the best arts podcast.
At times like this, it is normal to wish that there were better political commentators around, and fortunately, we have got a bit of newly revealed correspondence from George Orwell's archives to report on.
And George Orwell's doing current political commentary? That's a miracle.
He was ahead of his time in a lot of ways. Yeah. Let us peruse these letters and see what the mighty brain we have lost was writing about. He was writing to Brenda Salkind, an old crush of his, saying that his wife would think it was okay if they had sex twice a year.
Wow, appointment sex. Excellent.
Nothing's more thrilling than that, is it?
Appointment Sex, the gripping sequel to The Secretary.
So this is a grubby trawl around the archives of one of the 20th century's literary greats that I heartily approve of, because it's giving me loads of thoughts about how Ernest Orwell might look if he was on the job.
Wow.
Two legs good.
So, yeah, anyway,
Yes.
you're saying...
Yeah, back to stupid, sexy Orwell.
Four legs good. Two legs bad.
I think we're going to call it this episode that as well.
I think it is inappropriate to the memory of someone who fought so hard against cant and newspeak and nonsense in political language for the Times article I am reading to contain the paragraph. Biographers said the contents of the letters, which had been bought by Orwell's son Richard Blair to give to an archive, would radically change the understanding of the most recognised and discussed British writer of the 20th century. No, they won't.
Author has sex, shocker.
Yeah. Who was it who we commented on who had all of the, their letters highlighted just how much they enjoyed having sex with their mistress.
Oh, God.
Jeez.
James Joyce.
James, so that was it.
After which, I don't think listeners got the full impression of this. What was the book you had to review after we read those letters? Wasn't it called something like The Nether Realms or something?
It was something like that. Yes. The review that we always had to scrap because none of us could get through the title with a straight face.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything as horrifying as James Joyce's letters to Nora Barnacle, in existence, but
That's
certainly
not her
not in
name.
the Orwell collection.
Is that really her name?
Nora Barnacle, yeah.
Yeah.
Nora Barnacle.
No, Barnacle.
Oh, my goodness me.
They stuck to each other like, well...
Oh. And when he started talking about the farts, I was like, oh, no.
Please don't bring
Oh,
the
that's
horror
right, because that's
back.
also the show I had to explain to you what a Dutch oven was.
Yes.
That really was our peak, like, Little Light episode, wasn't it?
Listeners, at this point, you're probably thinking of killing something. But be careful, because it turns out that murder is not that popular on social media.
It's quite frowned upon.
The novelist and editor Alex Christofi found this out when he tweeted, "Yesterday, my colleague called me a book murderer because I cut long books in half to make them more portable. Does anyone else do this? Is it just me?" And he's accompanied this with a selection of the books he's cut in half. There's a volume of Dostoevsky, although I can't see which book it is, Middlesex by Geoffrey Eugenides, and Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace, which I would argue has not been cut into enough pieces by this guy.
I mean, the books that he's chosen, I don't know what the Dostoevsky one is, because you haven't told us. But aside from that, it seems... I'm among those who... I don't like any damage to books, but I will say there is a market for maybe not cutting them in half, but at the actual publishing stage, kind of separating them into 2 volumes.
Yeah, which used to happen a lot, didn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I am not ashamed to admit that I enjoyed the power move of turning up somewhere with a really fat book.
Hey everybody, I chose this to read. I wasn't given this to read.
Completely.
I've done that power move.
Rob is holding a copy of the manga Paradise Kiss.
It's the complete manga as well.
It is significantly larger than the building we assassin. But I've done that. In the job I worked once, I went in with 2666 by Roberto Bolaño, and I really enjoyed the gorps I got. It was well worth the broken shoulder it gave me.
Someone bought me the 20th anniversary edition. Was it the 20th? Yeah, it was the 20th anniversary edition of Magician by Raymond D. Feist, which effectively is 2 separate books in one. And it's something like 500-600 pages long.
Right.
And it's this big hardback thing. It's about this tall. Right? And I was reading it and enjoying it because it's a complete unabridged version. And every time I took it out in a cafe, it's just the stares I got because everyone's just looking at it. It's just this simple plain red cover with gold letters on the spine that just says Magician Raymond D. Feist. That's it. And everyone's going, what the hell is he reading? Is that some kind of law book? What is it?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I took Neil Stephenson's 70s with me on holiday.
Oh,
once.
yeah. Yes, you did.
To Spain.
Yes.
That's a power move, just sitting there on the deck chair, just like pulling out the massive book. I mean, maybe like a couple of hours later, I would have to limp back to the hotel. It was worth it, though. I was still cool.
I mean, everyone knows you're there for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, the thicker the book is, the less likely I am to want to read it. I think probably the last one that I read that was slightly cumbersome would be Marilyn French's The Women's Room. And God, that was a long time ago. Not that I haven't owned War and Peace, but I've ditched it now because I'm never going to read that sucker.
No, I agree. You don't want to either.
No.
I think
interest
that
in it.
sometimes you just have to read a very long book just for the sense of achievement it gives you. I think that's an important part of being a reader. And I don't mind if you do it in 2 parts, although emotionally I find that picture hard to look at, except Infinite Jest, obviously.
People have this like sacred notion about books, though. I think some people don't fold the pages down to mark where they are because that's evil. It feels like a desecration of some kind. I knew somebody who wouldn't open the book very far so that the spine wouldn't crease. And when do you stop? Wearing gloves in a rarefied atmosphere. Night on a Tuesday.
If you're that desperate to maintain your single copy of the book, then and you want to keep it in pristine condition, then why not just buy 2 copies of the book? Have one that you basically keep for your collection
in a case on the wall.
Yeah, and then have the other one just to read, and you can treat it like dirt.
In her
wife / mistress.
Yes, twice a year I arrange. Yes.
See, I feel like much like a torn in half copy of Dostoevsky's whatever. I'm in 2 minds about this.
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, I do understand if you own a thing, you want to keep it in a nice condition. Just so you look at my nice book. Look at how nice and not torn in half it is. But also, would I watch Chris Evans tear in half a big old thick book like he does a tree trunk in that one Avengers film?
Yeah.
And I would.
Yes.
And it would make me greatly happy.
Well, certain books you're okay to tear in half. Phone directories, for example.
Yeah.
They're basically, it's a common thing now. Strongman,
they're not
phone
collector's
directory.
items now.
Yeah, they're probably antiques, aren't they, these days?
It depends on the year.
Yeah. Well, in her article about Christophe for Vox, Constance Grady points out that the idea of the book as a desirable object is something created by Marxists in the 18th century when the idea of a home library became something that people can afford. And notes that it's got to such a stage now that the rich actually have bookshelf curators to give them the right kind of bookshelf, which we found out Charles Dickens had, didn't he?
Remind me?
Charles Dickens had a bookshelf full of non-existent books that he just thought made him look clever.
I remember this. I remember us talking about this, yeah.
Actually, yeah, it does ring a bell now.
We did a whole quiz based on working out if a book title was a
Remember
fake
it
book
now.
from Charles Dickens' shelf or
Oh, one from yours.
Oh, a real one, yeah.
which was obviously a sort of roundabout way for me to show off my bookshelf, because I'm not immune to this at all.
See, there's the lost opportunity. Nobody actually ever came up with a site called Rate My Bookshelf, did they?
They've got to.
I don't think anyone did.
We should.
We had Rate My Poo as a site, but nobody ever did Rate My Bookshelf.
I know some people arrange their bookshelf, the books on the bookshelf, by colour.
That must look nice.
I went through weird phases with arranging the books on my bookshelf, because originally I did it alphabetically by author. And then for some reason I started sectioning them off by actual theme or topic.
Yeah.
So that it was more of a mishmash, but if I wanted to read something about specific theme or a topic, then I could basically just go to that section.
Like it would be in a normal library.
Yeah. It was weird because I went through all sorts of years of just arranging things as, well, what seemed logical at the time. But then I settled on that, and it wasn't until later I realised I was basically just doing it as if I was a librarian.
Yeah, I feel like I have a nice core of alphabetical by author, surrounded by a creamy outer layer of, this book fits here.
Well, some people who really care for the book as a physical object would be Petersfield Bookshop, an antiquarian second-hand bookshop who also sell antique maps and prints, who went viral on Twitter for a rather more wholesome reason. They tweeted out that they had had not one single customer on a particular day. after which they were inundated, and they've tweeted that, and I quote, "On the Saturday after that tweet, a couple visited the shop from Manchester, a round trip of 460 miles.
Wow. I mean, fair play.
They did not buy anything, though.
What did they buy, I wonder? What's worth a 460-mile round trip?
I don't know.
No.
Hey, Graham. What if it was Infinite Jest?
I do know what they didn't buy. I'm pretty sure that they didn't buy the first edition Alice Through the Looking Glass.
Oh?
Because I have a good idea of how much that. Right, when I was at university in London during the 90s, there was I can't remember. I think it was it was in the 30s. It was the Antiquarian Book Fair, and it was on. It was at a place just on Park Lane, and so I went. I actually was one of the people who helped set the whole thing up, not the actual event, but just basically putting up the stands and the signs and everything like that.
Yeah.
Because it was a temporary summer job. And I actually was privileged enough to see the small glass case that had one of the few surviving copies of the first edition of Alice Through the Looking Glass, which at the time was valued at like £1 million.
Yeah.
And standing next to it was the biggest security guard I've ever seen in my entire life. And this guy was like, this guy must have been like 7 foot or something like that. And I could literally see up his nostrils. So he's got this tiny book, which is, it's only about this big, right? Just in this glass case. Nobody's allowed anywhere near it.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there standing there going, I know.
See, that is the sort of thing that you would travel for, doesn't it? It's got to be something one-off. I'm pretty sure they didn't travel 460 miles for a copy of The Mister by E.L. James.
Yes. So that means that bookshop has something secret. They've got secret books.
Where is the bookshop?
I took a check for this. It's in Petersfield, which is in Petersfield.
Is it down south or is it in Scotland or something?
Let me see. I'm getting suggested Twitter links for Petersfield Town Visitor Centre, so, you know, you'd think they'd know. Hampshire, apparently. Hampshire. So way off from Manchester. But yes, they also, in the initial tweets, they used the word tumbleweeds and have now confirmed that they're receiving letters from people who think they're called the Tumbleweed Bookshop.
Oh, bless them. Kind of giving themselves an image makeover accidentally.
Yeah.
Well, you say accidentally. So this does seem to work out pretty well for them.
Yes.
Although the accidental makeover would make an interesting movie.
Yes. You just fall on a makeup counter at Boots, and when you pick yourself up, I'm Sandy at the end of Grease.
or there's like a plane crash, and you're in the plane and you're one of the survivors and someone else is a survivor, and then you suddenly rescue them, but as you're rescuing them, you suddenly get an emergency makeover.
What the hell do you want?
I don't know. I think that was the Accidental Hero, sorry. Wrong film.
Is the accidental makeover not just John Travolta's character in Face Off?
Well, another book that's been underrated recently is Ilka Tampka's novel Song Women, about the tribes of ancient Britain fighting back against Roman invasion.
Cool.
She published it last year. It's received some good notices, but not so terribly well. But fortunately, it has just won an award. Unfortunately, it's for Most Underrated Book of the Year, which, as Tamka writes in The Guardian, is kind of a mixed blessing. She's happy to have won the award, but not so much for the fact that nobody has read it.
Is it maybe just a case of distribution? If the people did read it, they would go, oh, this is very good indeed.
Well, the reactions of my family and friends, she writes, did nothing to bolster my spirits. Responses ranged from, Wait, is that a joke? To my mother's hushed silence followed by I'm so sorry, darling. Witty quips followed like better than being overrated or don't underrate being underrated.
And then did the witty quips come after that?
Then the mental cogs would slowly turn and they would say, hey, that's actually a good thing. And it is a good thing because, jokes aside, this award is saying that my novel is worthy of more attention than it received, and that's not embarrassing at all. In fact, it is one of the most heartening and galvanising things a writer can hear.
Except for the Booker Prize goes to...
Here is your cheque for several millions pounds.
Exactly. Or, we'd like to make a film based on your...
I said several millions pound. That's not happening.
Everyone knows it's several million squid.
That's right.
That's the proper English way.
Have we changed currency now? Is my wallet worthless?
Yes, we pay for everything in squids, Rob. It's part of the alternate future of HBO's Watchmen.
It's one of the terms of Brexit.
Well, I suppose it's really difficult to counterfeit squid, so...
Yes.
The old counterfeit calamari scam.
We'd need a whole 3D printer.
And again, I said counterfeit instead of counterfeit. Help. I'm not over cats. It's still broken my mind.
Yes, we should make some time to mention that Andrew has seen the musical extravaganza Cats at the cinema recently.
It is both those words, yes.
It's many words. Most of them we can't actually say in public.
Yes. Oh boy.
So really more than words, it's just kind of a low moan of slight terror. My favourite bit is when one of the wall cats just like literally goes down the wall like Spider-Man.
Yes.
Not grabbing onto anything.
That sounds...
Just like sticking to the wall.
Was there someone in the background going, Spider Cat, Spider Cat?
Probably. And also, again, this is not an actual cat. This is a man mutated into a cat.
My favourite bit was when Francesca Haywood suddenly disturbingly starts nuzzling Dame Judi Dench.
Oh my god, yeah, there's so much nuzzling, Greg.
See, I honestly, every time I see a clip of cats on YouTube, my first reaction is, aside from like the shudder and is I just keep remembering that Basement Jaxx video for Where's Your Hat At? Yes! Or
it is horrific. It is like something out of The Exorcist.
Or Aphex Twin with videos like Window Licker.
She's supposed to definitely like do a thing where they set some Cats clips to one of those songs.
Oh, Aphex Twin to mixed with cats. Oh God, no.
I think Cats would look far less disturbing if Jennifer Hudson had the face of Richard D. James badly photoshopped onto her head.
I think people are starting to do that now.
I think this is a mashup that needs to happen.
Yes.
To scare children with.
So, on from books that were unjustly overlooked to books that were unjustly looked, I guess. Jeannie Cummins' new novel, American Dirt, has had a fairy tale passage to publication. It's been called A Grapes of Wrath for Our Times. It sold for a 7-figure advance. It's been selected for Oprah's book club and published internationally. The only minor problem it's had, and this should have been a foreseeable problem, is that people have read it. Which it turns out was the first mistake they made. Reviews have included, this peculiar book flounders and fails, Pavel Segal in the New York Times. Miriam Gerber described it as fake-ass social justice literature, complete with such tired stereotypes as the Latin lover, the suffering mother, and the stoic man-child.
Whoa. Are we talking about a book, or are we talking about a Latin American soap opera?
Well, that's the thing. She has been promoting it. I say she's been promoting it. Her company has been promoting it as a serious contribution to American debates about the border. And the general complaint is that it reads like a bad thriller full of stereotypes. It has been noted that although the author Jeannie Cummins has been talking about her Puerto Rican grandmother in the promotion of it, she did describe herself as white a couple of years ago. And also a launch party for the book featured floral displays with twigs shaped like barbed wire, which, Jesus Christ. It's a good job that company didn't have Thomas Kenneally's Schindler's Ark to promote, really, isn't it?
Oh, wow.
So is this the contribution it's making to, like, the debate on immigration is, well, I think it's not wacky and delightful enough.
So yeah, there's been a big backlash on it. The Texas Observer has come up with 17 books about the border by writers who have been Latino for more than 2 years, which is a fascinating list. Not a single book or author that I'd heard of, which goes to show how hard it is to really get into the international conversation when you're writing on this subject from this background. But I think Jeannie Cummins has... I was going to say she's messed up, but let's face it, Ron Howard is currently making a film about that terrible hillbilly elegy book, so maybe now she's sold the rights, this could keep churning around forever, despite the fact that no one really likes it.
That's never stopped Hollywood before.
Nope.
In fact, it's never stopped Ron Howard before.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who... I think Nicholas Sparks should direct the movie.
Nicholas Sparks, who claims himself to be a greater author than Cormac McCarthy in the tradition of Homer.
Ian.
That's right.
Homer Simpson.
I just want to bring that up every single time we mention Nicholas Sparks because it's totally insane.
Obviously, I know you're talking about Homer of ancient Greek fame, but why? My first question.
Well, have you seen Cormac McCarthy's books? There's barely any characters in that. Nicholas Sparks has so many characters.
One might say too many.
I have never read a Cormac McCarthy book where someone takes their shirt off to sexily make a boat. That's what he's always been doing wrong.
I think that's an iconic scene that could feature in many films and doesn't.
Yeah, if Judge Holden did that in Blood Meridian, it would be remembered as a classic.
Viggo Mortensen in The Road.
No.
Showed his malnourished pecs.
No. Tom Hanks in Castaway sexily making a raft. While the background music is sexy, everything about yourself.
I think just the fact that you've used Tom Hanks and sexy in the same sentence makes me deeply unhappy.
We've already done sexy George Orwell on this podcast, so we're made of tough stuff.
I think Robert Pattinson missed out on a key scene of High Life by not stripping to the torso and fixing that spaceship on the outside during the space war.
From the outside with a massive wrench.
Yeah, it's just like...
Just 70s Paul music, he turns up with the wrench like, let me get my wrench out.
This would fit disarmingly well into High Life, really, wouldn't it?
Wait, Robert Pattinson, before you go out the airlock, you're not properly protected. Here, rub this baby on.
Just Robert Pattinson topless with just a space helmet on.
Mick has walked into the room.
Just wondering what the hell is going on.
Mick has walked out of the room.
So anyway, Robert Pattinson oiled up with a space helmet.
Of course. It feels like an appropriate pivot because we are going to talk about romance novels next.
Oh, God.
Awesome.
Courtney Million, a romance author, has been penalised by the Romance Writers of America. One assumes sexily.
And was the president just stood there with a loose, billowing shirt while his rippling muscles?
It's time for you to learn a lesson.
I feel like that was just incredibly threatening, Graham. Like, I understand what you were going for.
You just had to walk through a river first before delivering that.
I think this bit is going to go horribly wrong.
I mean, there are a few ways how it could go right. There has been recent controversy around the Romance rights of America over their failure to listen to ethnic minority members. But fortunately, they have jumped up and disciplined Courtney Millian for pointing out racism. Oh, that's not a good story, is it?
For racistly pointing out racism.
I mean, is it not the case, Sarah, that the people who notice it are the real racists?
Oh, like who smelt it, dealt it.
Yes, exactly.
I
The who
see.
smells it, dealt it model of racism detection.
See, you say that, but I know that there is technology now that can actually tell you who dealt it.
That was not the avenue I expected this story to go down.
I was also very excited for a sec for the like supercomputer that can tell you, yeah, that's a racist.
Oh, that's a
No,
fart.
because any supercomputer exposed to racism will ultimately become racist. We know this.
Yeah,
Yes.
we've heard this
yeah,
from
that's
tape.
another story from
Yeah.
before, yeah.
I think that if this discipline goes ahead, and it might not because there has been a successful hashtag saying I stand with Courtney Millian and people are complaining to the RWA and Rob is waving his hand in the air.
I have a question.
Go on.
Use the term romance novels and discipline. Now my brain's gone somewhere else.
I think if it doesn't work out for her, we should get her on this show because she sounds absolutely rad. He is what got her into trouble, according to The Guardian. Millian posted screenshots from Somewhere Lies the Moon, her romance novel originally published in 1999, and explained why she thought it was, quote, a fucking racist mess. She noted that she had not read the entire book. One passage in the novel, Millian wrote in her original thread, suggested that no one had noticed the half-Chinese heroine's blue eyes because they never saw her eyes in China because she was always looking down. What is this? Milan wrote. How did Chinese women not bump into things? How did Chinese women read? Where did she get an education if she couldn't, look at anything? In another passage, Milan wrote, characters were described as having slanted almond eyes and faces that were almost yellow. As a half-Chinese person, she concluded, seriously, this.
See,
I mean, as a white person, that's
Yes.
very racist.
see, I don't see what she's said that's wrong there.
It is quite odd, isn't it?
You mean Courtney Millian?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was worried for a second there.
No, I'm not on about the actual book. I'm talking about her comments. There's nothing wrong with them. She's pointing out actual racism. I mean, it's the same kind of racism that, what's her face? Harry Potter author.
Oh, J.K. Rowling.
Rowling.
Yeah, it's the same kind of racism that she had in the casual racism.
You guys must feel pretty glad that we've basically cancelled her now, right? I mean,
I'm very. It's been a cathartic,
Yeah.
past year or so of just watching her, finally get torn down.
yes. It is very odd that you should have an authors' union where you can be disciplined for criticising another author. I mean, how is that even enforceable?
Well, it's not.
No.
Because all Millian has to do is say, right, well, fuck a lot of yous, I'm off. I'll do my own thing. I don't need to be with you guys.
I should point out that her name is actually Christina Milan, but I've been calling her Millian because I'm confusing her with the noughties pop star Christina Milian.
Oh, right, okay.
That's annoying because I had a whole thing about how she could just blame it on one or the other,
See-
999,999.
I just want to point out that you started off calling her Courtney Millian.
She is called Courtney Milan. Right, okay.
Would you like a door over?
I'm going to be disciplined by the podcasters union for reading this story out so badly.
So presumably this is taking place in America.
Yeah.
And is it the First Amendment?
Yeah, right at the top of the list.
Right at the top. Right
Yeah.
at the top. Okay.
So,
Just checking.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, she doesn't need to stay with the union. She's with the union by choice, so she could just leave.
Mm-hmm.
It would be nice if people didn't have to quit unions because they thought calling Chinese people slanted almond eyes was a bit dodgy.
I mean, unless the people at the top of the union are somehow ultra kind of pro-USA. You know, the type of people who stand in the street shouting, USA, USA.
Just in case they forget what country they come from.
But
I mean, there is a lot of that about.
Yeah, there is a lot of that about, but I can't quite kind of connect those people to romance authors.
No. Although they're...
Unless they're the ones who have the rippling muscles and... You know,
But they're
with the shirts
Waft
off.
their hair,
Yeah, exactly.
and a tendril would drop down in front of
Exactly.
the eye.
Yes, exactly
and
that.
the plump lips as they were disciplining this author.
Yes.
But there is, and it has been reported before this, a bit of a race problem in romance novels, because how many times have you been to a bookshop and gone to the Mills and Boon section, as I know we all do, we're big fans, and seen a non-white person with those rippling muscles and long flowing hair?
The bizarre thing is, right, there was a period, I think it was during the late 80s, when there was a trend in romance fiction for mixed-race couples.
Right.
Yeah,
It
but
was
it's
very
also like
short-lived.
how many of those books are titled like My Exotic Jungle Romance?
That was the problem. That was the problem. They were they had titles like that.
Yeah.
And it was a very short-lived trend. And the only reason I know about it was because my local library, there were always people asking for these books.
Right.
I'm like,
Can I have a copy of But I'm a Plantation Wife, please?
Yeah, it was literally books with those sorts of titles.
I think the romance writers of America need to have a new president who has shown a commitment to more diverse forms of couples in his romance writing throughout his life. And for that reason, I am nominating Chuck Tingle.
I wholeheartedly agree.
President Tingle.
Pounded in the butt by the president of the Authors Union.
President Tingle, salute!
Oh, God. So we've got quiz to round off.
Nice.
And it's a good quiz. 10 questions, most of which are amusing.
Genuinely forgotten what this quiz is about. I'm quite excited.
I know, and you've told me yesterday.
The author Parker Malloy did a Twitter thread in November last year where she asked, what are your favourite corrections from newspapers or magazines?
That's right.
Yes. Now, I have 10 of them, and I've worded them so that the correction is in the question, but the thing that is being corrected, the thing that they got wrong, has been missed out. So I'm going to read a correction, and then I'm going to ask you what you think they were correcting. Nice easy one to start with from The Guardian. In the corrections and clarifications column on September the 26th, we twice misspelled the word... What was the word?
Cocktease.
Okay, Rob says cocktease.
It was added to the dictionary.
Yeah.
That's true. Was it Thanksgiving?
Oh, sorry, it was not the actual word, but the word that they misspelled. All right, crocktease.
Oh, no, you don't have to misspell it in the same way. No one can think like a Guardian sub-editor. You just have to guess what the word that was misspelled was.
Oh, right, okay, then I'll stick with my first guess.
So if it's the Guardian food stamp.
No, the word that was twice misspelled in, let me just amplify this point, the corrections section of The Guardian.
It wasn't corrections, was it?
It was misspelled.
All right.
Oh, fabulous.
Then again, I can understand why.
It's you can sometimes forget how many S's are in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Also, maybe they were trying to, be a more progressive Guardian. They said it was Ms. spelled. Because they didn't want to assume.
Yes. Okay, second one from the New Yorker, from the New Yorker's Twitter feed, to be specific. A previous news alert misstated the author of a story about the populist demagogue Rodrigo Duterte. The author was Adrian Chen, not...
Adrian Childs.
Adrian Chin.
Okay.
Because this is the New Yorker, and they all have very long, strokey beard chins.
Hang on. It was the New Yorker.
Yeah.
Right, then I'm going to have to go with Charlie Chan.
Oh, boy. You've all been far too clever. The author was Adrian Chen, not, as we published, Rodrigo Duterte. Which, I mean, getting a dictator to write a profile of himself, that's what the Daily Telegraph does.
Oh, God. Oh, no. My brain's gone, like, Inception level kind of... No, stop.
Brain freeze.
Almost, because if Duterte was writing his own stuff, then it's a dictator dictating himself.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, third one. No publication given for this one, sadly. An earlier version of this article misspells the given name of the actress nominated for her role in The Audience. She is Helen Mirren, not...
The Audience.
Fits with the last one.
That wasn't my guess. I was just like, I don't know that.
What do you even misspell Helen as?
Heron? Heron Mirren. That sounds like I'm being racist, but I'm really not.
It's got all heroin Mirren.
Yeah.
Although going off that, I'm going to call her Sparrow Milan.
Okay. So what are our final guesses there?
Sparrow Milan.
Sparrow Milan.
Heron Mirren.
Heaven Mirren. Andrew?
Hexagon.
Hexagon.
I quite like the heroin one, actually. I'm a bit partial to the heroin.
Oh, that's an interesting confession to make on air.
It's just so Moorish. You can cut that out.
It reminds me of a line from Futurama where they're talking about heroes and heroines. They're like, oh, the heroes are full of hero and the heroines are full of...
Yes.
So what is the answer?
The answer is she is Helen Mirren, not Melon. Which I think has a lovely Dick Emery quality to it.
Called Melon Heron.
Okay, number 4 from the Washington Post. A November 26th article in the District edition of Local Living should have said Public Enemy declared 911, the emergency services number, to be a joke. Not.
I mean, is it a different number?
I mean, when you said Public Enemy, are we on about the rap group?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And they had a song called 911 is a joke.
98725608105.
Man,
if you get that right.
I would say 80057355.
Okay.
See, I'm just thinking about the time when Public Enemy were pretty big, and I'm going to go with 90210.
That's good. No, they mistakenly wrote it as 9/11.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Yikes.
Oh, wow.
Okay, number 5. We're halfway through and no one's got any points.
Come on, Andrew.
Everything to play for.
A slightly different one this time, from the Lily. We have updated the language in this piece to more carefully describe why Taylor Swift's fan base is...
Rabid?
I mean, you're not wrong. And I'm kind of swiftly curious, but you're not wrong. Anyone else?
I mean, I feel like I can't get past rampantly horny.
That's only because you went to see Cats.
It haunts me in my dreams.
Well, I'm thinking along the lines of the Lily feeling. I feel like the Lily sounds a bit Edwardian, so I would say gay in the old sense of the word.
That's good. Yeah, they'd need to be careful with that language. No, they have updated the language in this piece to more carefully describe why Swift's fan base is mostly white.
I really want to see the original version of this article.
Yeah. I'm guessing it included the word honkies. Number 6 from the New York Times. A reporter's notebook article yesterday about the situation in Israel during the Persian Gulf War mistranslated the Hebrew expression Nahash Tzefer. It means poisonous snake, not, as we wrote... Mick has an answer.
Michael Gove?
Michael Gove, in case listeners didn't hear that.
Okay, that's our outside opinion.
Yes.
Snake, not.
What was it? Snake?
Poisonous snake.
Poisonous snake.
Did we have like a complete sentence for it, or?
No, that's all the information I've got.
Poisonous snake.
And what was the Jewish phrase?
I am probably mangling the pronunciation of this, but Nahash Tzefer, poisonous snake.
Succulent pig?
Probably not.
I mean,
Exactly. That's why I'm going with it.
based on how it's been going so far, I'm going to have to say something like, the Illuminati is poisoning our drinking water.
I'm going to say cute puppy.
Nice. The answer is, in fact, poisonous snack. Okay, number 7 from NBC. Our previous update should have said ISIS fighters are avoiding airstrikes by hiding in civilian homes and shaving beards. Not... Mick has an answer again.
Saving Bard.
Saving Bard. Saving Private Bard.
Baking breads.
Right.
Hiding in civilian homes and...
And shaking that booty.
Shaving legs?
Good answers, and I think you're in the right zone. The answer is shaving bears.
I'm actually a bit worried that we're starting to get closer to the right answers. Like, just as our minds gradually decay, we think more and more like these misspellings.
I also want to point out that my succulent pig answer was very close to snack.
I suppose, yeah. Number 8, due to an oversight involving a hastily installed Chrome extension during the editing process, the name Donald Trump was erroneously replaced with the phrase... Mick?
404 file not found.
404 file not found.
Was erroneously replaced by duck fart.
Oh, that's a good one.
Derek Trotter.
See, he said the fart one, so I can't use that.
Don't feel ashamed of overusing farts. James Joyce wasn't.
Even the little ones. No, brain, stop. Oh, brain's starting to hurt now. It's all your fault, Graham.
By making you think of George Orwell doing it and doing it well.
Maybe that's what it replaced it with, just sexy George Orwell.
Oh, God. Donald Trump.
Yes.
Oh, Tango Man.
Yes. I think Rob might be closest. It was replaced with the phrase someone with tiny hands.
Yes. Accidentally.
Number 9, the penultimate one from the Enquirer Bulletin. A headline on an item in the February 5th edition of the Enquirer Bulletin incorrectly stated stolen groceries. It should have read... Mick?
Aliens stole my groceries.
Aliens stole my groceries.
The wrong Enquirer.
Bring a bit of the Daily Sport into this composition.
Stolen groceries.
It wouldn't do to overthink this one, I would say.
Stolen gold?
Stolen gross berries.
Stolen gooseberries?
No, actually, it's homicide.
There's a very big difference there. I mean, it's not like they're going to draw a chalk outline around a cabbage.
No. And finally, something slightly different from Gizmodo. They wrote an article about the US healthcare service, which had the following correction appended to it. This article originally stated that the price of Acthar had gone from just $40 in 2000 to over $40,000 today. A spokesman for Mallinckrodt emailed to request a correction that Acthar actually costs $38,892 today. Gizmodo regrets the error. We also regret...
not punching that smug twat in the face when we had the chance.
Nothing?
Yes.
Mainlining heroin.
Edith Piaf has spoken here.
I regret nothing.
Sarah, anything?
The epic bender they went on the night before.
No, Gizmodo regrets the error. We also regret that every last one of these guys isn't in jail yet.
Wow.
Yeah, Gizmodo. So I guess mine was kind of close.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good one.
But we still ended up with no points between all of us.
Yeah. That's 0 out of a possible 30.
Ah, well. Good week, lads.
Yeah. It's fine. Next episode, we'll just issue a correction that actually I won.
Yeah, so that's us, isn't it?
Yeah, hold on.
So, if you want to catch any of our episodes, you'll find them on whichever podcast provider you're using. And you can listen to all of our shows on our website as well. All of the other shows that we do, like Cinema Eclectica and 4Panel and other stuff like that. Until next time, I've been Rob.
I've been Graham.
I've been Andrew.
I've been Sarah.
And we will see you all later.
Thanks for listening.